Good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Kobe Edwards. Again, we are continuing our hands on teaching and guide on how to do research and make sure that you are very proficient at the end of your stay with us in IMG Research Academy. One of the common problems we have seen is people don't know how to, most medical doctors don't know how to put their hands on or their pen on the paper and begin to write things down. They'll be like, okay, what am I going to write? So to overcome that, we decided to give series of lectures. In one of our series of lectures that we're going to give today, or what they call the short series lectures, we're going to talk about how to structure your statements, giving examples of what people have written, out there. Now, we've given tons of lectures on literature reviews and different types of literature review, the scoping review, the narrative review, systematic review, meta-analysis, and the rest. Now, when you've narrowed down on what type of review you want to do, let's say, for example, the scoping review, you're gonna begin to break down each part of your writing into subtopics. If you notice this, I will use this as an example. This clinical practice guideline for the pharmacologic treatment of chronic insomnia in adults, an American Academy of Sleep Medicine clinical practice guideline, right? That's so we're going to study how Michael Setier and his group, you know, pencil down their ideas on the reviews that they did. Let's scroll down quickly to one of the paragraphs of interest. For example, let's use they were analyzing a previous meta-analysis on this topic. So if you notice how they went into this paragraph, I hope you can see my screen. They first, used like an introductory statement. Several meta-analyses of pharmacotherapy for insomnia have been conducted. So this introductory statement helps guide the reader on what this paragraph is going to talk about, right? In addition to the subheading. Now, the next thing they did was they chose a tone. There are various tones that you can choose when writing literature review. You can use a summarizing tone. You can use a critical and analytical tone. You can use a persuasive tone, you can use a reflective tone, and you can use a neutral and objective tone, right? So reading this, you could see that they use a neutral tone. They were not taking sides whether this study was better than this other study, or they were not comparing. You can also do a comparison tone, all right? They were also not trying to create a narrative that these studies or this approach is much better than that approach, right? So I think they use a neutral tone. If you read this comment, this sections very well. Now let's break down each statement. So let's say this is an entire statement, right? So now you as a writer, how do you phrase your statement? So if you notice what they did, they said, so let's read this statement in total, this first statement. So they said, Noel and colleagues conducted a meta-analysis of 22 randomized controlled trials of benzodiazepam and zolpidem for treatment of primary insomnia, published from 1966 to 1996. They found moderate effect size for key sleep variables for improvement with these agents, but noted limitations in the duration of trial and lack of follow-up study regarding outcome. Now, pay attention to what they did carefully. First, we recommend in our academy and all our mentees, we use this approach: the who, what, why, where, how, and what they found, right? That's the formula that we use, and this system replicated itself all through this whole writing. Now, Noel and colleagues is the who. They cited them here as citation 45. That's reference 45, right? Noel is the who. They conducted what they did, right? Because remember who, what, right? So what they did, they conducted a randomized trial of benzodiazepam and zolpidem, right? That's the next thing you're going to put. Why they did that trial for the treatment of primary insomnia, all right? That's another statement. And then where they did the trial, published. So they added where it was published. You can also add where it was done and some few details about why it was done, right? What they found, this is what they found. They found a moderate effect size, and then they quoted the statistical variables to support that it's the effect size that they found, right? For improvement of the agents, but noted limitations, and then they added one or two additional statements. This pattern of who, what, where, how, why, when, and what they found replicated itself all through this paragraph. If you notice, this other one is a 2000 study commissioned by these guys, Canadian American Medical Association, did the study, evaluated what they did, evaluated 45 randomized controlled trials. They put the sample size there, right? And then why they did it for treatment of primary insomnia, and then what they found. This investigation found XYZ, or this investigation found reduction in sleep latency, not significant in objective polysomnography assessment, but significant in subjective reports, right? And somewhat larger significant increase in total sleep time, right? So they found what they found. Same thing, next paragraph, a comparative evaluation of efficacy of hypnotic drugs was conducted by NCCE in the UK. So who, in summary, the analysis found what they found. And then again, the next one, Glass and colleagues, they cited them, right? Inter citations, compared what they did and then what they found. Again, in a 2007 meta-analysis evaluated 105 randomized clinical trials, you see again the same pattern repeats itself and what they found. If we keep going to the next side of the graph, and all of them, Hudo, Medina, and colleague conducted. So they first discuss who did the study, conducted, what study they did, and why they did the study, where they did the study, all right, and then what they found in the study. So they were using like neutral tone. They were not saying, oh, they did this study was fine, this study was better, this study was not better, right? And then all true. Okay, so if you extract your studies, or if you have eventually selected the studies that you're going to include in your literature review, whatever literature review you want to write, you could choose the neutral tone. The neutral tone is usually easy to write, except, or you could choose a tone that suits the objective of your study, right? So the objective of this study was to, analyze the different. If you look at the objective of the study, to analyze, they were trying to come up with a clinical guideline, basically. So they were looking at, okay, what has been done in the past, right? That's the objective of this study. Some interesting facts that they found. They suggested that clinicians should not use trazodone for treatment of sleep onset or sleep maintenance insomnia. This is something new to me. I'm just saying it. And also, they suggested that clinicians should use zolpidem as a treatment for sleep onset and sleep maintenance. That's in addition. That medication for sleep treatment is a second line. In first line is usually cognitive behavioral therapy, right? CBTI. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this conversation on how to structure your statements in when you're writing your literature review subsections. Lastly, at the end of all those, let's say you've selected 20 studies to add to the subsection that we argue on that particular subsection's objective, because each subsection has its own objective or its own mission, right? So this is the mission here, is to compare previous meta-analysis. To summarize previous meta-analysis, at the end of the day, what they did was they didn't just end the paragraph like that or the subsection. They summarize the key findings in the paragraph using this statement. In summary, these meta-analysis suggests small to moderate effect size for most major sleep outcome variables with both benzodiazepine and benzodiazepine receptor agonist, right? Whatever it is. However, some of these analysis report significance, so they just summarize the key findings of that particular subsection, right? So for you that's writing yours, you can use this pattern. It's more of a neutral objective. It ensures that an unbiased summary of the findings is reported without taking any stance, right? You can choose to use other tones, like the reflective tone that, I think suggests potential future direction. Let's say you want to drive the narrative to a particular future direction, or you want to use a persuasive tone to convince someone. All right, so those are all biases in writing literature review, because you choose the tone based on the objective of the study, right? You can also use analytical tone, where you highlight gaps, contraindications, areas needing further research, often calling for refinement of existing protocols or existing research. That's for like the analytical tone, right? Or you just choose a summarizing tone like this. This can also pass for a summarizing tone, right? You providing concise wrap up key findings, restating the significance in a neutral and objective way. And I hope this whole talk on how to put your sentences down has been helpful. Again, this is IMG Research Academy. My name is Dr. Okobi Edwards. I've been mentoring and teaching research for over the past 6 years, and I've grown this while, and I wish to, and I'm using this as a give back to the community, teaching the younger ones on how to do proper research writing. Thank you so much, and God bless, and keep writing. One of the most important thing about writing a clinical trial or writing a research paper is just write. Don't bother to think whether what you're writing is smooth or flowing. That will come at the end of the paper, right? When you now begin to strengthen your grammatical flow, your lexis and your structures, and you're making it sound more academic. First, put all your ideas down on paper, and then eventually, you begin to use tools. Thank God for AI these days. You could use Grammarly, you could use any of the tools to strengthen your work done properly. Thank you, and see you again in next short series.